Morella?
Here.
Ms. Novi?
Here.
Mr. O'Brien?
Here.
Mr. Palmer?
Here.
Ken Chang? And Diane Cox.
Here.
Form President.
Thank you. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can you please read the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law statement?
New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to advance notice to attend the meetings of public bodies if any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of the Act, the Montville Township Board of Education approved this meeting date. Notice of the meeting has been posted in the municipal building, all Montville Public Schools, the Montville Public Library, the Montville Township Board of Education Administrative Office Building, the Montville Public School website, and advertised in the Daily Record.
Thank you. Good evening, Dan.
Good evening.
Feel free to do your report.
Okay. On the sports front, boys varsity ice hockey is currently 13-1-1. Their most recent win being a 4-1 victory over Mount Olive. They play Westmore's Wednesday, January 29th at Aspen in Randolph. On January 4th, Montville's bowling team won the first annual Falcon Freeze tournament at Sparta Lanes. They also took first out of 11 teams in the New Year's Eve tournament. Their current record is an undefeated 11-0. In the Racine Drew Invitational on December 27th, Montville's track had a fantastic performance. Freshman Ethan Grossman came in first place out of 26 in the 1600-meter run. On January 23rd, junior Alex Roger took first place in shot put, and sophomore Leo Weiss took first place in the high jump at the Morris County Indoor Track Championship. On January 25th, senior Katie O'Reilly scored her 1,000th point of her career. She's only the second girl in Montville in girls basketball history to reach this milestone. The Mustangs are currently 8-4. For the clubs, on January 4th, Saturday, Forensics traveled to Newark for the 2014 Newark Invitational. In Congress, Monica Casio won. In Extent, Jay Surratt came in second. In Improv, Sean Grelby won. Overall, the team came in fourth place. For Science Olympiad on January 4th, Saturday, they went to Camden, New Jersey to compete in the regional tournament. The teams took 7th and 11th out of 25 teams. They qualified for the state championships in March. On January 7th, 193 students participated in DECA Regionals at Ramapo College for the day. Out of these participants, 110 students qualified for DECA States for their role plays and papers. States will be from March 13th to 15th. Key Club recently participated in Pennies for Patients, where members collect money for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. For school, two violinists, junior Nikki Hong and sophomore Elisa Park, auditioned for and were accepted into the regional orchestra, which is part of the New Jersey School of Music Association. This year, there were over 100 other violinists who also auditioned. Freshman Serena Huang, who plays the flute, and sophomore Brandon Wong, who plays the tuba, both auditioned for and were accepted into the regional band. In addition, Brandon Wang was accepted into the All-State Band. Senior Stage Space auditioned and was accepted into the regional choir. On January 15th, Montville celebrated its second annual ceramics exhibit, hosting students work representing 7 area high schools. University representatives judged the exhibits. Montville Township High School senior Jesse Ward received first place in the wheel thrown functional and second place in the wheel thrown sculptural. And as for the future, Key Club's annual volleyball marathon is set for Friday, February 21st, and that's our big event for Key Club. The Student Activities Council's annual student versus staff basketball game is set for the week after, which is Friday, February 28th, and that's also a big event.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Well, you probably want to get home and study for midterms, right? So feel free. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night. Superintendent's report?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. The first item I'd like to talk about tonight is the fact that January is New Jersey School Board Recognition Month. And that is a month that is designed to recognize and give thanks to our Board of Education across the state. As our audience is aware, this meeting was postponed from last week because of inclement weather. And Ed Fleischman, our supervisor of the arts, had planned a surprise for the Board of Education for last week, which unfortunately we could not duplicate tonight because of midterms. Our students are diligently studying. But we will be bringing something special to the board in the next couple of board meetings because we would like to, in fact, do something special for you to celebrate School Board Recognition Month. But from my perspective, I want to thank each and every one of our board members for their support to the district, for their diligence, their dedication, their intelligence, and for leading the Montville Township Schools forward in a very, very positive way. So I thank you on behalf of our administrative staff and I'm sure our teachers and other staff members. We all appreciate it a great deal. So thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
I'd like to skip down to the Lazar Parent Conference dates. This is really just a notice for our board and community, which I believe has gone out already in writing from Lazar School. The administration of Lazar has requested that they change their parent conference dates, which were originally March 12th, 13th, and 14th. As our board knows, we are doing park assessments, a field test this spring, and all of our schools are involved to some extent, and we'll be bringing to the board a presentation about the park tests and field tests within the next meeting or two. And we'll bring you more of those dates, and I have a letter about to go out to all of our parents explaining the park field tests, and that will be followed up by a second letter which more specifically lets them know which classes were selected at random for these assessments. It's a very few number at each grade level in each school. So there'll be one letter, as I said, which goes out with general information, soon followed by a second letter which identifies the classes involved. But at any rate, the original dates coincide with some of that assessment period. So we are moving the dates, and this is again just for your information. And again, I'm sure Lazar will publicize that to their parents so that everyone's aware. And the third area for tonight on my report are the park pilot assessments. I just did mention them. Casey has been our point person with regard to some of that assessment information, along with Andrea. They kind of split some of that responsibility having to do with the instructional side of things, which Andrea is responsible for, and the testing side of the equation, which Casey has direct responsibility for. So I know our principals are anxiously waiting to find out which of their classes have been identified. The state gave us a very prescribed way to look at that work in terms of a random selection. There's an instrument on the park website which in fact walks us through the process to do that random selection. The letter I'll be writing home is hopefully a reassuring letter to our parents, letting them know the reasons we've chosen to be involved in the pilot study, letting them also understand that the testing has no significance directly for their children. We do not receive any grades or scores back from those tests. We receive no information about how the children have performed. It's not really about the children. It really is to, from my perspective, give our district experience with these assessments a year ahead of time. We can better understand the use of technology and what's required of us. And so Austin and his technicians are working to make sure that we're up and ready for 1 year from now. And this will give them some good experience about that. And the second reason that it's productive for us is to allow our teachers to get some experience with how the test gets administered. And finally, of course, any test that is worthwhile has to be validated, has to be used so that that the individuals who create the assessments know that it's valid and reliable, and they don't know that until they in fact pilot it and field test it. So the information that over 1 million students taking these, across the country, over 1 million students taking these field tests, the information that the testing company gets back will help them redesign questions, understand the length of the test, how long it should be, based on students finishing on time and things like that. So hopefully this creates better tests when they actually are used in the future. So the letter will explain many of those things going forward. Okay. We have a presentation called Parent Access that Austin Thompson, our technology manager, will be doing for us, but it will not be tonight. We're going to be doing it at our last board meeting. Tonight, Austin does have a conflict. He actually is working with a Relay for Life committee, a very, very wonderful area for him to be involved in. This is their first planning meeting, so we certainly did not want to prevent him from attending that. So at our next meeting, Austin will present the Parent Access initiative to the board. So we're tabling that for this evening. And finally, the next part is again mine. It's about budget development. Before I say a few words about that, any questions from the board about anything I've discussed so far? Okay, so budget development. We're beginning to share with the board and the public some of our thoughts about the budget development process. Now, back in our offices, in our schools, in our classrooms, the budget has been on our radar for some time. All of the planning, the conversations with principals and teachers, the conversations with principals, supervisors, and our central office staff about things that matter to our schools, our teachers, have been taking place. We've been making decisions about things that perhaps we can support in this year's budget, things that we may not be able to. And Jim has been incredibly hard at work, trying to fit all of the pieces together, all the numbers together as we go forward with the budget process. In the meantime, though, I thought that I would like to spend a few minutes tonight and share some, I'll call it some philosophical thoughts with the board about how I would like to move the process forward, the things that matter to me, and I think to our Board of Education and community as we think about the future of our district, the vision we want to set, and this will give you a greater understanding of why when we recommend particular items as part of the budget, and that will be because they support the vision and the direction going forward. So with that being said, I'll start the presentation. Perhaps the board would like to go into the audience so they can see the screen behind me. This will be relatively short, but then of course there'll be time for questions from the audience and community. So this is developing the Montville Township public school budget for 2014-2015. And our mission statement, Montville Township community values education at the highest level. Our mission is to guarantee exceptional education for our students by maximizing individual potential and fostering a lifelong commitment to learning with a strong partnership with educators, families, and So creating a vision. The district goals, and we develop goals every year with our Board of Education administration in our summer, during the summer, to guide us towards specific outcomes while bringing us closer to our vision. Schools and our departments within our schools and school district focus on practices which align with the district's vision. And guiding us further is teacher effectiveness and student engagement. And they're at the center of our work. And more, the board has heard me talk about these two items, creating the most effective teachers possible through professional development, through continuous learning, and what should be happening in our classroom is engaged, passionate students, and looking at our instructional practices to more and more bring our students in this kind of environment. So these are our student learning goals. We have many other goals that have to do with communication, with business practices, with policies and practices, but this is student learning goals. And effective teaching is at the top, and professional development to support that. Of course, the Common Core curriculum. We developed over last summer more than 100 curriculum, moving us from the New Jersey state standards to the Common Core. I think it was close to 125. We do have some more to go, and we'll be continuing that over the next part of the summer, and the district funded that. And of course, the PARC testing. The effective school culture on our students is an area that we continue to look at. We had a report done on the district music goals. We've taken that report seriously. There's more work to be done. One of the biggest parts of that report was to look at whole ensemble or a whole group ensemble here at the high school. And I believe that our scheduling is leading us toward that, so we're very pleased about that on practice. And notices to our families, our music students have just gone out about that. Supporting our world language program. This is work that is ongoing. I can remember back 3 years ago to a fairly disjointed, almost elective kind of approach to world language in our middle school. We move now toward a more systemic approach, but our work in this area is not done. We do need to enhance, I think, the Rosetta Stone program at the elementary level, and I think we need to, in fact, look at our middle school practices more carefully. But one of the things that we've moved toward is a 8th grade is taking Mandarin, Spanish, French, or Italian 1, same in terms of finals as we have here at the high school, to ensure that the course is a duplicate no matter where you're taking it. Original Science Research Program is now in its 2nd year. Next year we'll move into its 3rd year. Our students will become, our juniors will become seniors. We'll have new sophomores enter the program. And at that point, we'll probably have somewhere around 50 students in the program between the 3 grades. So that program will continue. And an offshoot of that program is our Humanities Research Program. We had a presentation about that a few meetings ago. Actually, here at the high school, I think our board members are very impressed, as were many of our parents that would here to see that program. We hope to, in fact, move that program forward as well. The High School Media Center. Last year, the board put $600,000 toward the renovation of the High School Media Center. We hope that we'll be putting a similar amount in the budget for next year. And we have put out RFPs, requests for proposals, to design groups for the media center. I believe last Friday, Jim?
Yes, sir.
That RFP closed. So now we will look over those proposals, we'll bring together a committee that has been established here at the high school, has parents on it, teachers, administrators, to do some interviewing and to start to bring forward that initiative. College level courses. offer lots of college level courses here at the high school, but actually it's a big secret. By that I mean that we don't really publicize that a lot, and we should. Part of what we need to do better, and we're starting to do it with our Director of Guidance and others, is we need to tell the world the kinds of great things that are going on. And these college level courses is part of it. We're looking at adding additional college level courses to that list, and certainly making sure that the colleges our students are applying to understand the significance of students taking these courses. And middle school scheduling was also on our list this year to look at. We have done some of that. I think that's almost a 2-year initiative as we look at that, and that again focuses a lot on the world language scheduling and on the elective courses that our students take. So what do we value? Excellence, children's passion for learning, collaboration, and caring. So what's ahead of us? So from a broad perspective, class size. What our Board of Education community should know is that our class size, the number of students in our school system, is declining. Not by a lot every year, but certainly by some amount over time. We have seen this in declining enrollments in our elementary schools, which eventually, of course, move into our middle and high school. And we do know that it will have again an impact on our elementary schools as we plan for next year's budget. Our enrollment, our declining enrollment will mean at least 2 less elementary classroom teachers for next year, and maybe more based some are on the edge. I have looked at this area, I'll call it conservatively right now. So if it's on the edge, we have right now in the budget held on to the teachers, but in 2 different areas, it is clear that the enrollment has declined significantly, and so we will not need 2 elementary teachers as part of our budget next year. So we'll see that when that comes out. So that's the immediate implications for our schools. Even though enrollment declines at our middle school, as long as we have a middle school model, as a teaming model, very difficult to eliminate teachers in a teaming model, nor would we want to. But again, some people might say, well, if the numbers are going down, why aren't we losing teachers in the middle school? That almost never can happen in a middle school teaming model. And at the high school, numbers, because again, it's a bit of a long way off from this bubble that's going to the elementary school, the numbers aren't declining too much. And in the meantime, we are looking at enhancing some of our programs here at the high school, and there'll be some implications for some additional teachers being hired at the high school as a result of our science research program expanding for 1 more year, and as a result of something I think the board is very pleased about, and I think our community is as well, and that is offering biology at the 9th grade level, along with our science at the 9th grade level. So we haven't lost our science, but we're introducing biology at the 9th grade level. So we will, I think, have need for more science teachers as we move forward. So the future trends, it's hard to say. We'll continue to monitor the class size. I'll continue to keep the board and community informed as we understand our kindergarten enrollment for next year, and work together as we move forward. So the instructional budget, it'll be all about the children, again, student passion and instructional practice, looking toward more engagement, more students in the classrooms, looking at effective teaching, making sure we have professional development built into our budget for next year. The replication of successful practices, the Humanities Research Program in particular. I'm very excited about that program because, as you saw from those demonstrations, using that technique to teach changes the environment of the classroom into a more student-centered model, teaching many skills, including, again, independence, collaboration, develops a passion for particular areas of learning, and really, I think, moving our classrooms in a very positive direction. Authentic teaching and assessments, again, assessments oftentimes and usually drive instruction. So looking at the whole area of assessments, and I'm talking about everything from teacher-made assessments to park assessments, we need to look at assessments that in fact are assessing our children and students in ways that in fact change instructional practice. If we continue only to give multiple choice tests, then we can understand how the teaching may proceed. If we give assessments that are in fact multifaceted and call upon lots of other areas of discovery, then of course we're going to see teaching practices change to reflect success of those assessments. Professional development with a purpose. We just had a very, very successful day on January 20th. This was the first year that, again, through the way the state, the NJ Achieve regulations have come to us, that each of our schools had to develop a school improvement panel. That school improvement panel, is the nickname for it is everything as an acronym. It's called the SCIP Committee, small C for school, IP. The SCIP committees in each of our 7 schools had the responsibility to develop the professional development day for their buildings. Those SCIP committees have 2 main responsibilities. The first one is to, in fact, support struggling teachers. So teachers who are not being effective are identified, and the SCIP committee helps support those individuals. The second responsibility is to really assess where the building is at and to develop professional development opportunities that will support their individual buildings moving forward. So all 7 committees developed a program for their day. I had the opportunity to visit all 7 schools. I know Casey and Andrea were around at these schools as well. And each of those initiatives were just terrific. Really supporting effective teaching, really giving teachers a chance to collaborate. And each was a little different because the needs of each building was a little different. And so this building approach, I think, was highly successful, and I'm very, very pleased and proud of what took place, seeing that it was really our first time doing it. Curriculum development will continue, as I mentioned, moving to Common Core curriculum in all areas. And of course, for next year, the PARC testing is in place in earnest. And with the PARC testing comes a hefty price tag in the way of technology. Now, the good news is that when the technology is not being used for that several-week period for the assessments, it'll be available to our students in the schools. So we'll be purchasing many, many Chromebooks that will be used in our humanities research program and in our other classroom programs at all levels of the district, elementary, middle school, and high school. We expect to have many, many of these, again, instruments and devices available. So right now, the Montville Township schools certainly have a reputation for excellence. Anyone I speak to, and I think many people here know that I'm not from New Jersey, so whenever I mention Montville, wherever I am, people recognize the district as a school district of excellence and talk about how well the district performs and how well we do. And, we're also listed in many other places, best places to live in the country, safest places to live in New Jersey. And within those articles, our school district is always mentioned, whether it's about the achievement of the students, whether it's about particular programs that are taking place. And those are things to be proud of. But we need to take another step. And that next step is to maintain our excellence while really becoming a district of distinction and bringing programs forward that separate us, that make us notable, a bit different, if you will, in positive ways than perhaps in districts around us. Science research program is one example of it. Now, that's a small example, but as you know, it only services perhaps up to 60 children at any one time in sophomore, junior, and senior year. But from that program developed the Humanities Research Program, which in fact this year is actually servicing, I believe, 10 classrooms of students. Is that correct? Humanities Research?
Yes.
2 teachers, right? One
Yes.
English, one social studies, 10 classrooms. Multiply that by 20 kids, and that's 200 getting that experience and potentially expanding that program next year. And teachers seeing other teachers using those programs and then changing their practices. So we're now moving ahead in ways that are going to be very, very beneficial. Again, ways to distinguish us from others. So that is the philosophical basis for the things you'll see in the budget. I'll mention one other thing. You're not going to see a huge amount of staffing increase in this year's budget. Now, Jim plays with the numbers legally and positively and all those things. I don't mean plays haphazardly, laughing back there. It's all magic to me. I just try to put forward what I think is the best instructional program possible. Now, last year, we were very fortunate and very well supported by the board and the community. We brought several new supervisors back into our district, and they're doing wonderful, wonderful things. I just hear very positive things about all of that working out so well. We brought additional staff into our district last year. We have, I think, a great foundation, and we don't need to add a lot of staff to both continue and move that foundation forward. So you will see fewer staff members, but we feel very, very positive about the recommendations we are going to make. And again, I hope that as Jim works toward the bottom line, it all fits together. We don't know that right now. It's continuing to be hard work at that. So over the next couple of weeks, we'll know where we are, and then we'll bring further presentations to the board and community using real initiatives, and of course, real dollars as we put all of that forward. So I invite the board to come back to the board table with your questions and comments, and then we'll ask the community as well.
While the board takes their seats, I just wanted to comment on 2 things. The first is on the slide that had the instructional budget, the professional development with a purpose. Dr. Freed, you had sent to the board in your weekly update similar comments to those you made tonight, congratulating each of the schools for very well-developed programs that advances teaching techniques in our schools. And I think it would be fair to say that the Board of Education would like to extend our congratulations to our teachers as well, and to let them know that we are proud of them too. This was the first year that it was building level professional development that they took ownership of. It's certainly reassuring to the board, and we're very proud that they did such a wonderful job. And it's not surprising because we have a wonderful staff, but they should be congratulated and they should know that we're all very proud of them. If you would extend that to them. And the other comment that I just wanted to ask about in terms of declining enrollment, specifically with respect to elementary schools, Of course, it's always distressing to hear that we could lose two of our elementary school teachers. I'm sure it's on my mind, and I'm sure it's on the minds of elementary school parents, is the question of class size, and I'm assuming that class size will be maintained as it has been historically. And just from my personal perspective, as a board member, I would certainly support retaining an elementary school teacher, even if the numbers are on the cusp. But that's my own personal opinion. So I just throw that out there.
Yeah, so let me address, thank you for your first comment. I'll be sure to congratulate, thank the staff on behalf of the board for that day. The second comment is the two areas where I am sure that the enrollment has declined significantly enough that we are going to be losing to are in areas where, for example, we may have two sections of the grade level, and those two sections have, let's say, 19 children in them each. But at the next grade level right now, there are 3 teachers. So when that class moves to the next grade level, I'm sure that we're happy that we have 19 in the class instead of 12 in the class. I think that would be beyond what the class size policy allows me to do. In any areas, and I did mention this as well, where it is close, I have not in fact put those out there for declining enrollment. Right now, they're staying in the budget. As our class sizes solidify as we move through the spring, there may be some other reasons to bring something back to the board. But preliminarily, when it was close, I opted to retain the teaching.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board?
With respect to that concept, a couple of years ago, it might have been about the time when you came into the district, we had discussions about potential decline in enrollment in the district. And at that time, we had discussions about what to potentially do if classrooms became available, or movement schools become available. You don't think that this is something, do you think that this is something which over time is going to create open classrooms for schools?
I can't foresee that at the moment. While we're having some schools where the enrollment is going down, we're having some schools where it's not. So we may find ourselves with a school with an additional couple of classrooms over time. So I can certainly look to keep the board informed about that as we move forward. Those could be opportunities for other things to take place within those classrooms. Some districts, as you're probably aware, bring in particular programs for students with special needs and tuition-paying students from other districts. So there are various opportunities if they present themselves in the future.
Any more questions from the board? Does the public have any questions? Feel free to step up and ask a question. Okay, then we'll move on. Jim, to the business administration report.
Following on the heels of Dr. Freak's preliminary budget presentation, I did hand out to the board with their packet this past weekend a revised proposed budget calendar. As I mentioned in my update, the Department of Education recently released the statewide budget development calendar with some revised dates. They actually backed up some of the county submission requirement dates, namely the chief one being March 20th. In the past, our budgets were due to the county superintendent for review and approval, usually the first week of March. That's now been backed up to March 20th. So after consulting with Dr. Freed, we actually amended our budget calendar as well. So that's been handed out, and I just wanted to give the board an opportunity to comment on that calendar. If they had any questions for Dr. Freed or I on it. Okay. So seeing none, we'll proceed as Dr. Freed had laid out his presentation. Thank you.
will, since we just reorganized in January, I'm sure the committees will start up fairly soon. And we'll have plenty of reports soon to come. Are there any delegate liaison reports left over, or, okay, I'm just going to, for Morris County School Boards, I would like to announce that on February 19th, there is a Morris County School Boards meeting, and the subject matter is school finance and the school budget development process. And the blurb that described the meeting is called "The Role of the School Board in Developing the Budget and Allocating Limited Resources to Enhance Student Achievement." And there are no better speakers and professionals to address this than Dr. Freed and Jim Tevis. So I'm very pleased to announce that they will be the keynote speakers at the February 19th meeting of the Morris County School Board Association. It's really a privilege for me to be able to showcase our professionals, Jim and Paul, and Andrea and Casey. Feel free to jump on board if you'd like to attend, and to showcase some of our programs that have been brought to us by Dr. Freed, but they wouldn't be possible unless Jim did an effective job of managing the finances. So anyway, I just wanted to get that out there, and I will continue to announce it until February 19th, just so that everyone is aware.
Where is that meeting at what time?
You'll be getting a notice soon from Morris County School Boards. It's at actually a restaurant. Just so the public knows, tonight we're going to be adopting new committee delegate liaison appointments. Mostly everything has stayed the same. We do need to add to the agenda tonight J.4F under parent groups, the Mustang Association, and their delegate will be Mike O'Brien. And we are also going to be postponing the J4D, the Recreation Commission appointment. So we'll be adding Mike to Mustang and postponing the Recreation Commission delegate appointment, just for everyone's awareness. So at this point, I'll open it up to the public for anything on the agenda.
I'm Terry Ann Bohading, 3 Sylvan Drive in Pine Brook. I just want to thank you all, because seeing that January is New Jersey School Board Recognition Month, as a parent who tries to come to a lot of these meetings, and sometimes it's hard to get out of the house, I remind myself that you guys are here an hour at least early, before I'm even here, and then you do your committee work and all that, and you don't get paid. And I appreciate it as a parent. So, thank you.
Thank you, Terry, very much. Yes, please. Okay. Is there anyone else from the public who wants to comment? Okay. I'm going to close the public portion now. Carmella?
Yes, I attended the Lazar PTC meeting earlier this month, and they had quite a few items on the agenda. One of the bigger items of note is a donation of Chromebooks, which is actually being approved tonight on our agenda. And February 6th, they're having a comedy night at the Knoll, which is next week. I will be attending. I'm ready to laugh over tissues. Hopefully it'll be very funny. So I encourage everybody to attend. Lazar PTC doesn't hold a lot of fundraisers. They haven't held one in several years, so please support that.
At this time, I'll need a motion for items I through O, including the addendum, and with the changes noted earlier.
Motion. Second.
Are there any questions on the minutes? Mike? Yes?
Just that we're doing all the way from I to O.
Yep, and then we'll just go section by section.
They just date on here for section.
to our attention. You'll be abstaining on some of those, you and David. Administrative, any questions on K? And then I would just ask Dr. Reed, I know that you'll let all the appropriate groups know within the K, any questions on K? Facilities and finance? Any questions on L, personnel? M? N, policy? And O. Roll call?
Mr. Morello.
Yes.
Mr. Cooney.
Yes.
Mr. Modrak.
Abstain on J2, yes to everything else.
Ms. Noe.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Abstain on both of the minutes. No on policy 3221, 3222, 3223, 3223, 3224, and 3224. Yes on everything else.
Mr. Palmer.
Abstain on the December 3rd minutes, yes on everything else.
Dr. Kane.
Yes.
Dr. Cornelius.
Yes, but abstain on everyone on tonight.
Motion's passed.
Thank you. I'm just going to throw in that I attended the Montville Mud. Mr. Grau was there as well, and our students are amazing. They're just amazing what they accomplish with play. It's wonderful. So thank you staff for inviting us. Under general board comments, there's, I asked that Safety and Security Committee be on for a board discussion. You may recall that the Safety and Security Committee was begun as an ad hoc committee in the wake of the tragedy that happened in Newtown a year ago, December. I think the committee has, under the leadership of John Morella and our superintendent and Jim, has done a wonderful job of paying attention to the security and security of our schools, safety of our children. And in consultation with John Morella, I wanted to talk to him about it first, and he thought it would be a good idea to remove it as an ad hoc committee and make it a standing committee, since safety and security never goes away. It's not like the vision or the purpose of an ad hoc committee. And I wanted to open it up to the board for discussion.
Since there's no discussion, maybe excellent meeting.
I don't think we don't need to take action, do we, Steve?
No.
So seeing no objection, we will move it into the standing committee with the promise from the chair that there will not be now a flurry of committee meetings, but I thought that last year it was it was just a very good committee, and we got a lot of work done, and I want to thank you, John.
Will we be requiring John to submit weekly updates?
When the work does committee meets, they will. And any other comments?
Yeah, Sharon, in our board packet, we received a copy of a letter that was sent to us in response to us sending our December 16th board resolution to, I guess, various assemblymen and senators that represent us. And we received a comment back from Jay Weber, who was asking us, for assemblymen of the 26th district, asking us for more information, quantifying and expressing his interest in learning more about unfunded mandates. How is the board going to be proceeding with respect to that? I wanted to offer my assistance to help with constructive like to respond?
You know, Mr. Weber is someone that is, I have found him to be in the meetings that I've had with him, very interested in the plight of school issues, including unfunded mandates. So once the letter was sent and the board was sent a copy, I talked about it with Dr. Freed, and Dr. Freed has graciously agreed to break out some numbers, and then we will send the response back to Mr. Weber.
Is this going to be a white paper form?
I hope not.
I hope.
Okay. That's good, because I see even in this evening's agenda, there are certain training sessions for individuals in the district for park testing. We as a district just continue to spend dollars on so many of these unfunded mandates. So I look forward to seeing a response, and hopefully Mr. Weber will take flight with some of the reasoning that we give him as to how burdensome these unfunded mandates have been.
There seems to be a growing number of school districts that are sending similar resolutions to either members of the legislature or the Commissioner of Education or the State Board of Education. Mike O'Brien forwarded an article recently, and it sounds like at least one school district and maybe more are going to be bringing these to the Council on Local Mandates, so I'm going to be interested to follow how that goes.
Yeah, I do want to mention one more item, which I think is of great interest to us, and that is that we recently became aware that one of our teachers here at the high school, Anthony Sia, was named as the Person of the Year here in Montville Township. And I congratulated him. I know some of our board members have as well, and I want to announce that publicly, that we were very pleased and proud that he has received that distinction as Person of the Year here in Montville Township. So congratulations to Anthony, and we appreciate all the wonderful things he does here for our students and staff and community. So.
Would you express to Anthony the board's congratulations as well? Comments? I'll open it up for the public now for anything you'd like to speak about. Seeing none, I will close public participation and entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Okay, thank you very much.